Hello Year 3, here's your Wednesday English lesson based on our fabulous book Leon and the Place Between by Graham Baker Smith and Angela McAllister. Let the magic begin. I know you have already been looking at this book, so with Mrs Davies you have looked at the picture of the outside of the tent and predicted what you thought might happen, and then you have shared the start of the book up to the point where Leon decides he's going to enter the box. And this is the page really that we're thinking about today. So we've got the audience gathered, settled on the grass in the tent, waiting. And it says, "I don't believe in magic," said Tom as he settled on the grass in the show tent. Around him the crowd waited impatiently for something to happen. "It's not real," hissed Pete. "It's only tricks." Little Mo looked disappointed. "Shush now," whispered their brother Leon. "It will be magic. You have to believe. Look, it's going to begin." So their speech tells us how they're feeling. From this page, we can see that the two oldest boys probably are a bit sceptical, which means they don't really believe. So Leon is this little boy here with the parted hair and the green top, and he looks fascinated, really eager to see what's going on. And then we've got the two boys, Tom and Pete here. I don't know which one's which, to be honest, but they are the ones that are not convinced anything is going to happen that's going to be any good whatsoever. Mo does believe that something's going to happen, but she shows later on in the story that she's feeling a little bit scared. Now, in your packs, you have a sheet of white paper with some extracts, some chunks of the book, and I've got them here for you. So the TLP for today, you don't need to write. You can simply cut it out and glue it into your book. The TLP for today, the 3rd of March, is can I empathise with characters and suggest what they might say or think. Empathise sounds a bit like sympathise, but it doesn't mean quite the same thing. If you show empathy, it means you can kind of put yourself into somebody else's shoes and imagine you're them and really think about how it feels to be that person. So that's called empathy. So what you're going to try and do today is put yourself inside these children's heads really and think about how they are feeling and what they might be thinking or saying to each other. So we've got a little chunk of the text, so you can cut this out and stick it into your book. It's in your pack, so that you've got it there to give you some ideas. And it also shows you how to use speech marks, which is handy because we're going to need those today. "I don't believe in magic," said Tom as he settled on the grass in the show tent, full stop. "It's not real," hissed Pete. "It's only tricks." Little Mo looked disappointed. "Shush now," whispered their brother Leon. "It will be magic. You have to believe." Then Abdul Kazam stepped aside and there was a door into a box. Who will step into the magic? Leon knew it had to be him. So we're going some way into the book. We've had the jugglers. We've had the carousel and the spooky music. We've had the suspense. Abdul Kazam. Some magic tricks which are wonderful. We're going to do some art at school based on this picture. And the page that we're up to. This picture is good. The reason I've turned to this picture here is you can see the expression on the children's faces. Little Mo is looking very concerned. Leon's got a mysterious, excited look on his face. Tom is looking very serious. And Pete actually is looking a little bit worried. He's got a crooked sort of shape to his mouth. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to some work we did on the Iron Man, where we imagined some dialogue between characters. And in the Iron Man, it was Hogarth and his dad discovering that there was a monster outside. So this time we're going to imagine some of the things that these 4 characters, we've got their names on this sheet to help us. What sort of things do we imagine they would say at various points in the story so far? And 1, it's to show that we can think about how they might be feeling. And 2, we're going to have a little practice of our SCAPS. That's our sentence punctuation. And we're going to write SCAPS as a little reminder on this page. So we start with speech marks, the little 66 floating above the line. Speech starts with a capital letter. I'm going to put starts, I'm just showing you an example with a capital letter. Actual words that are spoken starts with a capital letter, comma, close speech marks, explained, Mrs. Joshi. Speech mark, capital letter, actual words spoken, some sort of punctuation, close your speech marks, and then write who said it. So, I'm going to go back to the picture, remind myself about the characters and who they were. So we've got Tom, Pete, Little Mo, and Leon. I'm going to start off with, you can start whichever order you like, and don't copy my examples, waste of time, think of your own. So I'm going to start with Leon, and I would describe him as being excited, probably a bit nervous, but really keen to get in that box and find out what's in there. So I'm going to think about what he might say to show that he's keen to find out what's inside the box. So I'm going to open my speech marks. What is in there? That's the question. I have to know. Leon's the one going into the box. So I think he would be saying something like that. What is in there? I have to know. And I'm not going to use the word said. I'm going to use the word exclaimed. Leon. Full stop. What's in there? I have to know, exclaimed Leon. Exclaimed is something you say in a slight rush because you're excited. And we have talked to you 3 in the past about different words for said. If you're stuck, just use the word said. Today's learning point is not about using good words for said. It's thinking about what the characters are saying to explain how they're feeling. Now we know that another character is feeling the opposite of excited and keen. Little Mo is really anxious about Leon and she doesn't want him to go in the box. So I'm going to have her saying to Leon to not do it because she's so worried about him. So I'm going to leave a line just to space out my work a bit. It looks like a little 66. I'm opening my speech marks. Please don't go inside. And I think she's going to say it with quite a strong pleading voice. Please don't go inside. So I'm going to put an exclamation mark in there because she isn't going to say it calmly. So speech mark, capital letter, actual words spoken, punctuation, speech mark, SCAPS. Please don't go inside. We need to tell our reader who said it. I'm not going to use the word said. I could do. I'm going to use the word begged. She's really asking. Leon not to do it, begged little Mo, and both parts of her name need a capital letter because it's a proper noun. Full stop. Last example. You're going to keep doing these until you've done 10. Who shall we have? Do we have Tom? Do we have Pete? Or do we repeat one of the other characters? I think I'm going to be Pete, who earlier in the story, "It's not real," hissed Pete. "It's only tricks." So he doesn't believe in the magic. I think we'll predict what is in the box. So I think Pete's going to say, so I'm going to start with Pete. Sneered. If you sneer, it means you don't believe something and you say it in a slightly, not mean way, but you say it in a way that shows you don't really believe it. Pete sneered. He's starting to talk. Pete sneered. That box is just empty. He doesn't believe anything is going to be interesting in there. That box is just empty. So I need to close my speech. I need some punctuation there. It's the end of the sentence because I've got who said it at the beginning. So I put a full stop. Pete sneered. That box is just empty. One final rule to remind you, if you have who said it first, you put a comma. It's a bit of a punctuation minefield, speech marks, but that's why we're doing this lesson, is to get you to have a go. So you could have some other examples. "Leon, if you go in, you might disappear forever," said Tom. "Leon, go in, there might be treasure inside," said little Mo. There's lots of ideas of things that you can say. So don't just be a lazy bones and copy my examples. Let's have 10 things that the characters might say to themselves and try and use the SCAPs. Speech mark, capital letter, actual words spoken, punctuation, speech mark. Look forward to reading these. Thanks, Year 3.
Once you've completed this lesson, you're now free to read the whole story. So you can read it on your own, you can read it with someone at home, maybe you could read it to somebody. Really enjoy the magic of the place in between. Were your predictions right? Did anything happen that surprised you? How do you think Leon felt at the end of the story? Really look forward to sharing this book with you next week when you bring it back into school, and we're back at school on Monday.